Outbreak. I'm joined in studio by Labour Federation SAFTU General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi. Thanks very much for joining us, Baba Vavi.
Thank you very much for having us.
Super. So one of the things that President Ramaphosa said yesterday as he announced the measures was that he really needed for all of us to work together and basically defeat this common enemy that we're all faced with as we worry about our existence as human beings. To what extent does SAFTU support the measures that were put out?
We support that 100%. I mean, we now know that all the countries that are beginning to turn the tide and win the war against the coronavirus had to embark on the same steps in their own countries. So we endorse the message from the government that says, unfortunately, we will have to learn new cultures. We African people, you know, the first thing we do, we shake hands, we embrace, we laugh, and we loving people. And that's why others took advantage of us. And now we must unlearn that culture. Now we are told that we must give our elbows.
Well, we gave our elbows, didn't we?
And it's a serious matter.
Yes.
So we want to make a call on every worker. Don't think that this is a joke. This is a serious matter. Every worker have to at least be conscious, must know that this is the most defining moment. Some of us never had to experience this in our lifetime. I mean, we didn't live when there was the chicken pox that wiped thousands and thousands of people in 1918. This is our first experience. So yes, the social distance is something that we must embrace.
But let me intervene.
Avoid greeting people with your hands.
Yes.
Practice hygiene. Wash your hands. 20 seconds, we are told. And avoid physical contact with anybody. Rather learn a new culture of shouting from a distance when you greet.
Indeed. But one of the things that people are concerned about is that, you know, some people are workers and freelancers perhaps, and they're worried that if they have a bit of a cough and call in sick, they're going to lose money. What's your advice to people who are in that conundrum? Because ultimately, if they go and they are infected, they're going to infect other people.
There is guidelines that we will prefer that every workplace should have coming from the Department of Health. The Minister have announced what are those guidelines, what are the don'ts, and what are the do's. And so we will want to make an appeal to every employer. There must be basic education. Every worker must know what must be the reaction, what must be the sign. Because not everybody that have signs of a flu automatically means that you have been infected or now is a carrier of the coronavirus. There will be flu. All of us live with the flu all the time. And but we now know that the reason why this virus is so dangerous is that it comes as a normal flu. And you discover much later when you would have been interacting with hundreds and thousands of people in the funeral, in the workplace, in the train, in the taxi. And that's what makes it to be so dangerous.
I want to ask you one last thing before we run out of time. We're expecting a package of interventions, fiscal interventions from the Finance Minister, Tito Mboweni. What ideally do you think should be packed in there to assist ordinary South African workers?
May I just comment on the press conference? The press conference didn't inspire me today. It didn't say to me, as a member of the public, that there is a cabinet that is capable of speaking in one voice. The compartmentalization that we saw there of each minister speaking to his or her own departmental program is quite worrying. We look like we're having a council of ministers, and instead of a coherent message that must be delivered by one minister with all of the components, the elements of the entire cabinet speaking to the same statement. That's quite worrying. And that everybody saw this as an opportunity to speak on TV on the projects that they have. Having said that, the second issue that we're worried about is that there's going to be a discussion at NEDLAC that excludes the second largest federation in the country, and there's going to be a discussion with civil society that excludes the ground forces of the working class formations that are not participating in the ESCOM. And as a result of that, you're going to have a huge number of civil society formations, mainly what we call the excluded.
Yes.
Being outside the messaging, and therefore you will need to do a top-down, and which is not an ideal situation at all when you are facing a disaster of this kind.
Baba, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time and giving us your impressions. That was Zwelinzima Vavi. He's the Secretary General of SAFTU.